Prime Time on Sun News Network brings you Brian Lilly and Ezra Levant. Two hosts, one mission, to bring you the real stories with all the facts, interviews, and analysis you need, night after night, back to back.
We are supporting Ann and Phelan. We're filmmakers and journalists because we think this is a story that needs to be told. If the media won't do their job, then we can do it ourselves. We can, and we must. During the 30 years of Gosnell's killing spree, many people knew what was going on and did nothing. It's almost impossible to believe, but it's true. We have the trial transcripts and the grand jury testimony to prove it.
That's Kevin Sorbo, TV's Hercules, supporting an independent film by Phelan McAleer and Ann McElhenney. You remember them, of course. They're the filmmakers behind Frack Nation. And Phelan joins us now from Los Angeles to talk about film. Great to see you again. Tell me about your new project. Tell me how you're crowdfunding it. And tell me why it's so important that Hercules himself is helping you out.
Well, our new film is about the life and crimes of Kermit Gosnell, who's America's biggest serial killer, Canada's biggest serial killer, possibly the most prolific serial killer on the planet. In a 40-year killing spree, he killed thousands of babies. He was an abortion doctor, but it wasn't in the abortions that he killed the babies. He went one step further. He induced labor in thousands of women, and when live, viable babies were born, he killed them. I won't go into the details of how he killed them, but he stabbed them viciously without mercy. So he's serving several life sentences. But most of your viewers won't have heard of Kermit Gosnell. Most Americans haven't heard of Kermit Gosnell. We're making this movie to change that.
Well, and that's the thing. We've heard of the Paul Bernardos and the Ted Bundys, who at most these serial killers have maybe a dozen or 20 murders to their name. Of course, a single murder is horrific. But in Gosnell's case, it's estimated to be hundreds, perhaps thousands. And like I said, these are not abortions. These are live baby births that were then physically killed. And we showed a horrific image of the corpses stuffed in a freezer. How come the media was not interested in a Paul Bernardo squared, a Ted Bundy squared?
Well, let's be honest. The media executives, you're more likely to find them at a Planned Parenthood fundraiser than you are in a Philadelphia courtroom trying to get an angle on an abortionist who's actually a serial killer. It just doesn't fit their lifestyles, their life stories, the stories they want to tell.
Well,
so we want to change that. That's why we're going.
Yeah, their narrative is that this is all about choice, and it's just a protoplasm. It's not an actual human. This is a horrific counterblast to their official politically correct narrative, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, have a look at the photographs. Go on our website, gosnellmovie.com, where we're asking the public to help fund this.
Well, and that's the thing.
Have a look at the photographs.
I want to talk about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to talk about this website here, and we're looking at it right now. This is Gosnell Movie, Gosnell movie.com, and there's also an Indiegogo website up there too. You are trying to raise $2.1 million to fundraise this on your own, because this isn't the kind of thing that Hollywood would naturally do, am I right?
Of course. Again, Hollywood, Planned Parenthood fundraisers every day, movies that show abortion in an interesting light, in an unusual light, in a negative light. They don't want to touch that. So that's what crowdfunding allows us to do now. Indiegogo allows us to do that. Anyone can go there. They can give $1, by the way. They can also give $50,000. Anyone, according to their income or ability to pay. So we've already had something like 6,000 people, $450,000 more than that. It's been a tremendous first week, but we need to keep the momentum going.
Well, absolutely. I want to tell you, Phelan, on the very first day you launched it at gosnellmovie.com, I chipped in $100. You know what? I better chip in again, because if we don't get to that 2.1 million, tell me how it works on Indiegogo. All the money goes back to everybody, and the film's not going to happen. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. So the money never comes to us until we reach the target of 2.1 million. If we don't reach that target, it goes back to the people who gave it. So that's so we need to reach the target, 2.1 million. There are, these victims deserve to be remembered. This serial killer, his crimes deserve to be remembered. I mean, people like crime. They watch a lot of it. They watch a lot of serial killer movies. Ted Bundy's had 3 movies. Jeffrey Dahmer's had 4. The Zodiac Killers had 5. This will be done well. It'll be done entertainingly, but it'll also tell you a lot about abortion. It'll tell you a lot about serial killers, and it'll tell you a lot about how these people got away with this crime for so long.
Now let's talk about the style of the movie itself. Your last film, which I absolutely loved, Frack Nation, we played it so many times on the show, was a straight-up documentary. You went out there, talked to real people in real time. This, obviously, you can't do that. You can't go into the horror chamber of his abortion clinic. So you're doing it in the style of a recreation, a true crime movie. Tell me about the style of the movie.
Yeah, it's a true crime movie. I mean, it's basically the Lifetime channel is based on, that's their business model. They've done a movie on Jodi Arias, the Craigslist killer, the Grim Sleeper, you know, Ted Bundy. They've done a TV movie with him, Jeffrey Dahmer. This is what they do. People watch it in their droves. Females actually are very interested in crime on the Lifetime channel. So it's going to be in one of those TV movies. And that's another thing. To get over the media censorship, it's going to be a TV movie. So it's going to be in every house in America, every house in Canada. It's going to get into their homes so that people can see the truth about these crimes and maybe learn something that they didn't know about abortion, about how these things work, what goes on behind these walls, and who's really watching.
You know what? I think it's so important that everyone chip in. Phelim, I'm going to go back to the website, gosnellmovie.com, and chip in another $100, not just because I think you're going to do a fabulous job. I've seen a couple of your movies already, but because I agree with you. It's absurd that we obsess about fantasy murders, like the show Dexter, about the serial killer. Yeah. Why do we need to entertain ourselves with these fake sanitized serial killers when the worst serial killer of all time was just convicted under our nose? And it's like we're willfully turning away from it. You have the courage to stare at evil and call it by its own name. Last word to you, Phelim.
Yeah, well, it's very important. I mean, we were going to make other movies, and then we kept coming back to this one. It's such an important story. It's a historic story. This is a historic criminal, a historic serial killer. And his victims are not remembered. He killed women, he killed children. And we want to give those people a voice, but we also want to let people know what's going on. I learned a lot. I covered the trial. I learned a lot about abortion I didn't know. It made me think twice about a lot of things. And I want people to learn something they didn't know, make them think twice, and not have the truth hidden from them. The censorship stops here, so that's why we're on gosnellmovie.com, to stop the censorship, to get the story out, and to let people make up their own minds.
Phelim, thanks so much for coming on the show. I am going to chip in another $100 tonight. I encourage all my viewers to do so too. Gosnellmovie.com. Phelim, good luck. Keep at it, my friend.
Thank you.